Welcome all to the weekly outlook. Boone here from EWPRO. Getting straight into the weekly outlook, starting with DXY on the daily. Nothing's changed on the daily. We've got that WXY. We're looking for the X2 and a Z up. Like I've mentioned, we can get an A, B, C in here and another one breaking the top. Like I've mentioned many times before. So on the H4, nothing's changed. Looking at that A, B, C, we got the C down, we got the trend line break, and we're looking for the buy to at least go and break the top. On the H1, we don't have any bearish divergence, so you can look for a correction before you look for a buy. You know, if you get little flags, you can buy flags, but they're really only scalps. You really want to wait for a nice size correction. You know, 50% retracement of this, so you're looking for a correction, some sort of a correction, and then a buy set up to buy. That's the safest option. Wait for a correction. AU on the daily. So we're just looking at this last section here. If you want to look at all this, you can go back through my other videos. But we're looking for an A, B, C. We bounced clean off this 100 pip here. So on the H4, nothing's changed. We're looking for that A, B, C. We've broken down here. We've got a lower low. So if we go down to the H1, you can start looking for sells. Ideally, you'd want to wait for a correction, some sort of whatever correction it gives you. We don't know what sort of correction it's going to give us, but if we get like an A, B, C, and then you get a sell set up, look for the sell for at least an A, B, C. EU on the daily. So this one here, nothing's changed. We've got a WXY. We're still in this wave Y. Then I'll be looking for an X2 and a Z down. But when we look on the H4, we got these three down, W, X, Y, and we didn't have any bullish divergence. We lost all the bullish divergence. So I was just looking for an A, B, C. We didn't quite get up to that 100 fib, but we've fallen over, breaking the trend line, and here you got a little flag to sell. On the H1, see, yeah, if you didn't take this, it gets risky because we're starting to get bullish divergence in this one down in here. So you can really only sell flags. So, you know, if you get a little flag in here, as long as this trend line here holds, you can look for sells. But yeah, it's going to start to get dangerous because we do have that possible bull divergence starting to form. GU on the daily. So we're looking at that WXY, looking for an X2 and a Z down. Like I've mentioned, this can be an A, B, C in here, and this will still be a wave Y. We go down to the H4, we'll see this correction in here, what I was looking at. So we got that WXY, A, B, C. We got up to that 100 fib, and we're looking for it to go and break the low, at least to break that low. And it's already broken that low, and now hopefully it goes and breaks, you know, this low here. So we got a WX, very deep pullback in X2, extremely deep, and then we're in a wave Y down to this 161.8. So I'd be looking for another correction in X2 and then look for that Z down. I'd be waiting for this correction before looking for the Z down. We're down to that 161.8. It can go down to this 200 fib in wave Y. But wherever this ends, I'll be waiting for the X2, looking for a correction in there, and then looking for the sell if you're not already in it. And new on the daily. So we're looking for this WXY. We're looking for a correction similar size to this over here. So this can turn quite complex, like I've explained in the past. But we're looking at an A, B, C in here. And more than likely, this will still be part of that wave Y, unless it turns more complex. Looking at the H4, you can only sell this. You can only sell this. We got a lower low. So if you get a correction, wait for the correction and then look for the sell. The safest bet is to wait for this correction. Because if you just jump into it here, well, it's going to correct on you, and you're going to, if it turns into a deep correction, well, you're going to get scared and probably get out, and then it'll fall over as soon as you get out. So wait for the correction and then look for your sell setup to sell. UY on the daily. So nothing's changed. Looking at that WX extended wave Y, then we'll be looking for X2 and a Z up. But like I've mentioned, we can get an A, B, C in here, and then a break at the top. And this will still be wave Y. H4, you can see what we're looking for, A, B, C. Then we've got an A, B, very deep pullback. Down to 78.6 in the correction, and then we've got a wave Y. We're just up to that 100 fib. There's no bearish divergence. So, if we go down to the H1, you can sort of see what I'm looking at on the H1. This may go a little bit higher, but we're looking at a WXY. Wait for that X2 and then look for the Z up. The Swissy on the daily. So again, we're waiting for a very large correction in here. Like I've explained, we're looking for a very large X2. So this is going to be quite choppy. If I go down to the H4, you'll see what I'm looking at. Nothing's changed since last week. Looking for this A, B, C in the B wave, and then we get this C up. Looking for price to get up to around this 100 fib, and then we get like the A, B, C, then an A, B, C, and then an A, B, C to get us that time factor on the daily. So that's the sort of structure I'm looking at. There's possibly more upside in it. Just got one wave really. If you're not already in it, it's going to be. See, we got little corrections in here. If you're not in these, you have to wait for another one. If you get a little bullish flag, you can start looking for them. But yeah, if you're buying flags, they're only really scalps. Ideally, we get some sort of a correction. If we get a correction, it gives us more confidence to buy. That's the safest way. Wait for a correction and then look for your buy setup to buy. UCAD on the daily. Excuse me. So we're looking at that A, B, C. I was thinking this was over. You know, we got all that bearish divergence. When we go down to the H4, this was my concern last week as well. You know, looking at an A, B, C, we got the bullish divergence. Now we've got a higher high here, so you can only buy. You can only buy. So what we'll be looking for is a correction. You know, you really have to wait for a H4 correction now, because on the H1 we've got an A, B, C up in here. We've already got bearish divergence, so it starts to get very risky to buy. Even flags, you know, or little corrections on the lower time frame, it starts to get risky. So ideally you'd be waiting for a larger correction, a H4 correction, and then you could look for the buy. So you'd probably be staying out of this for a couple of weeks. GY on the daily. So we excuse me, we got this WXY, X2, Z up, giving us a bearish divergence, but then we started to get this very deep pullback. So I was just looking for a correction in here, down to this 50 pip. We can sort of start looking for a pattern in here, like an A, B, C, and then we get an A, B, C. So I'm looking for upside, and then we get an A, B, C to give us that larger correction after the wave Z before we get any more upside. As you can see, my count from last week, I was looking for this to keep on going up. There's nothing to say that it won't keep on going up. It's just that we've got a larger correction in here. So we got an A, B, we're getting a look for that C up, and you are getting a nice little well, correction in here. So you could wait for a trend line break and a little flag, and then you could look for that buy up to the 100 fib. If we go down to the H1, there's not much on there, but you can see that, you know, you're getting this little correction in here. This is looking very bullish, so you could wait for this to break, give you a flag, and then you could buy up to this 100 pip. EG on the daily. So this is quite complex as well. Like I've mentioned many times, I'm looking at an A, B, C. Then we get the A, B, C breaking this low, All the wave C down here has to do is break that low. And if you look, we got to break above this top, this low here, and then it's gone and broken the low. So technically it is complete, which makes it hard when we don't actually go and break this low down here. But on the H4, you can see we got the 5 down with bullish divergence, like I mentioned last week. We've got that WXY, X2Z down. So I said, you know, you can really only look for buys. We've got all that bullish divergence. We sort of got a correction in here for A, B, C. We do have bearish divergence. So again, it starts to get risky. But you know, if you do get bullish flags, you can look for them. And even if you get a sell set up, you know, you could look for the sell as well, because we do have that bearish divergence. You could look for the sell to go and break the low if you get the setup. You need the setup before you look to trade. Looking at gold on the daily. So this is becoming quite complex as well. Sort of, I was looking at this A, B, C. We're nearly at that weekly time factor for X2. Looking on the H4, like I've mentioned, we got that W, X, Y, X2, the Z down. We lost all the bullish divergence, so I was just looking for a correction in here and then another one down to give us that bullish divergence. Hopefully give us that bullish divergence so we can buy. So last week we were looking for that. We got that Z up to 61.8, and then we got this WX. We're in a wave Y. Wait for your X2 and then look for the Z down. WTI on the daily. So we got that WXY, X2, Z up. We lost all the bearish divergence. So I was just looking for a correction in here before we get more upside. I'm looking at this as an A, B, C, and then we get an A, B, C, then the A, B, C before we go up and break that top. That's a excuse me, the structure that I'm sort of looking at. On the H4, you can see what I'm looking at. We got that WXY, then an A. All this is a B. I'll be looking for a C up, and then we get an A, B, larger A, B, C. So on the H1, there really isn't. It never really gave us a nice setup. That was a problem. And it's giving, like, if you took this, you more than likely got break even because it broke the top and then come straight back down. It's not really, and really need a nice buy setup to buy. This may turn into a flat here, like, yeah, it's not really giving the price action for the buy setup. That's the problem. If we do get a nice setup to buy, I'll be looking for the buy. Bitcoin on the daily. So we're looking at that A, B, C. We got the bullish divergence, but we got all this in here. And like I've been saying for weeks and weeks, this is looking very corrective for more downside. Finally, we got a break down this week. We got that breakdown in here. So, like I mentioned last week, well, when we were over here, this was looking, we had that A, B, C, but we're getting all this, so it was looking very bullish. It did go up and break the top again, and now it's fallen over. You can only sell this now. So we're looking at like a W, X, Y, X2, and a Z down, breaking the low. Any correction you get, you can look for that sell. Ideally, you get a retracement, back to this 50 fib, some sort of a correction like an A, some sort of a ABC, like an A, B, C, back up to the 50 fib, and then if you get a sell set up, well, then you could look for the sell for a larger A, at least an A, B, C. So you may be sitting on the sideline. You may want to scalp a buy in the correction, but they're only scalps if you're looking for buys. You have to be in and out because we don't know what sort of correction we're going to get in here. The correction we get in there is anyone's guess. It may be very deep, up to the 90 fib retracement. It may just come to the 50. It may go to the 61.8. We just don't know. We'll have to watch that correction and wait for the correction to be over, and then we'll look for our sell setups. S&P 500. So nothing's changed on the daily. I'm still looking for downside, looking for W, X, Y, X2, and a Z down. We do have that bear hidden here. So I'm looking for that Z down. We just about got to that trend line. On the H4, we may still have another one up. As you can see, we get W, X, Y, looking for X2 and then a Z up. before we get that Z down. But any sell setup you get, because we may not get this Z up, so any sell setup you get, you want to sort of take on the H1. It's already given the sell setup, unfortunately, the first one here, so we got a WX. We're in a wave Y, so you wait for an X2 and then a Z down in here, down to that 38.2 before you look for the buy. A U200 on the daily. I think we are starting to get the ball hidden here. No, we're not. Bear hidden, sorry, but we're not getting it. So looking for a W, very deep X. Then we've got wave Y, looking for the X2 and then a Z down. H4 again, we may still get a Z up here. You can see, on the MACD, it's running out of steam. So we're looking for a WX. This wave Y is starting to run out, and then we get a X2 and then a Z up. This still can go up and break the top, but I wouldn't be looking for buys. You're better off to wait for this wave Y to be over, and then wait for your X2, and then look for your Z up. For the sells, I mean, if you're looking for the sells, you'd be looking for the 38.2 retracement. So you're sort of getting a trend line break in here. If you get a sell set up, you could start to look for the sell. It still is looking bullish up here, so there is no sell set up yet. We need a nice impulse down, correction, and then you look for that sell. DAX on the daily. So nothing's changed on the daily. We're looking at WXY, then an A, B. We're looking for this C up to this 100 fib, and then more downside. H4. Yeah, this is. See, you can't really buy this at this stage. We've got bearish divergence. I mean, we do have a possible bull hidden here as well, but it's very risky to buy or sell this at this stage. You'd be more interested in a sell because we have the bearish divergence on the H4. On the H1, we may be getting a setup, like all the rest of them. It's already given that first sell. Like this was your first sell. We broke the trend line and it gave the correction. So if you're not in this, you can, if you get a little flag, you can look for the sell. But yeah, you'd have to put your stop loss just above this top here, and hopefully you get an A, B, C. As soon as it gets to the 100 fib, you'd be moving it to break even. And we'll be looking for sells. It's not really lining up to the daily though, so I'd be staying out of it because the lower time frames aren't fitting with the high time frame. Like with the C, I'm looking for it to go up to this 100 fib, but it's already running out of steam here. So this may be a flat in here, for an A, B, C, and then you get the A, B, C for the larger correction, and then you get the A, B, C. So yeah, The FTSE on the daily. This is extremely complicated as well because we, like I've mentioned, you know, we got this nice impulse down, but very deep correction. So I'm looking for an A, B, C up in here, and then we get an A, B, C as the larger correction before we get A, B, C, more upside. On the H4, yeah, see, we're already getting that bearish divergence. We've got like a WX, Y, but we're getting all this bearish divergence. You can't buy this. Very risky to buy. You can see on the H1 we're starting to get bearish divergence. Really, before you sell it, well, we're only looking for sell. You're crazy if you're looking for buys up here. You know, with all this bearish divergence, you know, like ideally we get a nice impulse down, giving us a lower low, and then look for your correction, and then look to the sell. So I hope you enjoyed the weekly outlook. If you did, please hit the like button, subscribe, share. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you out there next week.